everybody, and thank you guys for joining us for our weekly workshop. Today is a super special workshop, something that we've been gearing up for a long time, and that is building a Zoom Private OAuth app for your Variphy implementation. So I am joined by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Matt Sykes. Matt, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, Victor. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. So today we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at our agenda. We'll start off with an overview of our company. We will jump into a live demo where Matt's going to go ahead and walk us through how to configure that private app in the Zoom market. And then we'll pause for some Q&A. And then, of course, as always, we're going to give out some prizes. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a tour on some of the offerings that Variphy has. We are the preferred analytics vendor for Cisco UC Collab. And as we're going to talk a little bit about today, moving into the Zoom market, we offer customizable dashboards, reports, CDR, wallboards, UCCX, along with a host of other tools like remote phone control, change management, as well as DN and DID management. So with all that said, we are going to spend most of our time today talking about some of our newest offerings, and that is our Zoom release, which is currently in beta. So anybody out there running your Zoom phones, please make sure to go ahead and hit us up if you'd like to take part in our beta program. One more thing before we do get started, Variphy does offer an enhanced consulting service. That is a white glove treatment that allows Variphy to do all the heavy lifting for you, giving you a pretty hands-off experience. If you need reports built, you need to do upgrades, you just reach out to your Variphy Ninja, and we're going to go ahead and make it happen for you. So with all of that said, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and let you take the ball, and let's jump into the wild.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Victor. All right, there we are. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, hello and welcome, everyone. As Victor mentioned, in today's session, we will be showcasing Variphy Zoom account configuration using a private OAuth app that we're going to create in the Zoom marketplace to an on-premise installation of Variphy. Now, version 14 of Variphy that is in beta release currently right now will support the web-based Zoom phone platform for call analytics within our application. So again, for today's call, I'm going to walk us through the configuration steps to sync a Zoom account with an on-prem Variphy system. And actually, my good buddy Victor here, he actually wrote a very fantastic knowledge base article actually on these exact steps. So Victor, if you wouldn't mind, my friend, would you mind chatting out that KB link to all attendees so they can follow along? And while he's doing that, I don't think you're on mute at the moment, Victor.
I am, but I'll go ahead and get that in the Q&A panel. So go ahead and take a look at your Q&A panel over there, and I'll get that link to our knowledge base article out there.
Thank you. And I'm starting us off on the publicvariphy.com website just to kind of walk you through where to find this knowledge base article. So on the main page here of variphy.com, underneath the support menu, there's going to be a knowledge base option. Select that option, and then you'll see our help topics and our top sections and our top KBs for these entities. So we can see the Zoom phone reporting and analytics right here, but smack dab in the middle is Victor's KB for the configuration of the private OAuth app in Zoom. We will need this private app to go ahead and sync the Variphy system with your Zoom API. So this is going to be pretty much the knowledge base article I'm going to walk through step by step, but I'm going to save you from viewing that while we actually go through all of that. So what we'll need to do is, first things first, I will need to get into the Zoom app marketplace. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself signed in. Click on the sign in option here. We're going to configure this OAuth private app in Zoom, and then we're going to once again configure it with a Variphy on-prem installation once I get logged in. All right. So if you have the knowledge base article, should be pretty straightforward, the steps that we're about to run down this gauntlet. So underneath the develop dropdown, there will be a build app option. We're going to select that. And the next page will be to select our app type. We're going to select an OAuth app for the knowledge base documentation. We will create this. Let's go ahead and give it an app name. Now, I know we have some options or some breadcrumbs in our knowledge base article that you can certainly use, and I have one right here. Let's just label it My OAuth App for Variphy. So we could polish this app name out more intently or more abbreviated if you feel necessary. We are going to turn off the publishing toggle for this. We do not wish to publish this to the marketplace at this time. This, once again, is going to be a private app. We will have an official public app very soon before ahead of GA. Okay, so now in addition to creating this My OAuth app for Variphy, we'll need to create some app credentials. well, they've been provided for us here from the Zoom marketplace. So a couple key pieces that we'll need to capture here will be the client ID and the client secret. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy those and throw those into a notepad on my other screen here. And then we'll be using those in a few minutes, actually, on the back end of Variphy. Right, I have the secret, and there's a token we'll be grabbing as well, but we'll get to that. A few other options that we're going to need to populate on this app credentials page here are going to be the redirect URL for OAuth, and the syntax for this is to provide the URL where Zoom can send the access token after the user completes the OAuth authentication. These tokens are always refreshing and updating, but we will have a constant stream to it. So I'm just going to grab the URL, the redirect URL, and the allow list, which is in the knowledge base article. Let's see if my copy and paste works as well as I hope. Not. Let me just get rid of some characters here. There we are. It's going to be pointing back to a Variphy.com API page. We'll replicate that on the allow list as well, and we'll go ahead and select continue. Now we'll need some basic information here. The knowledge base article does kind of give you some cheat options to throw in for the short description and the long description. I found this kind of funny when I was reading this the other day on the long description. It asks you to please provide a copy that focuses on the specific feature and functionality of your app. Do not add jargon or exaggerated claims on your app. No exaggerations here. This will be very lean. So let me go ahead and just grab those examples off the KB. Excuse me. Here we are. The short example is going to be, or the short description, excuse me, is going to be an app required for integration with Variphy Analytics. The long description will be short and sweet, but definitely no fat on this meat. This app is dedicated to Variphy Analytics for the purpose of securely integrating with various Zoom APIs to provide collaboration analytics. No exaggerations there. Pretty short and sweet, as I made mention. Let's see. Underneath this, a couple other parameters that we will need, three of them to be specific. We will need to populate a company name. Certainly, the others are optional. Feel free to populate those if you need to, but we'll definitely need the developer contact as well. So this being a demonstration, I'm just going to put Matt Company. I can spell. And the
now that company name that you're filling in there, Matt, should that be Variphy as the company, or is that the company that's the Zoom company, you know, the company that's utilizing Variphy?
The latter half. So this would be the client's company name that we would want populated in here. Yes, not Variphy. So correct. So ABC company, we could call it, I suppose. I think that's what the documentation has. I'll throw in my name, but not my personal email address. Use my work. We don't need to worry about any of the other additional optional links here, so feel free to go ahead and continue from here. At the add feature page. Okay, so these tokens here, the secret token and the verification token, we will not need these at this time, nor will we need any of these other toggles, so you can feel free to bypass this add feature page and click continue. Now, scopes. We will need to add scopes. So there are 7 scopes that we are going to need to add, similar to kind of how we already interface with the call manager side of the field, where we would need an application user with certain roles and permissions. This is very similar to that. So these 7 scopes or permissions that we're going to need are going to encompass 4 or 5 different sections for the 7. So account, we will need to view account info. So we will need the account read and admin permission. We need a group option, but not the IAM group, the standard group. So we want to view group, so we will need the group read admin. I believe I have user as one as well. Okay, we want to view all user information as well. So we'll want the user read admin here. Role is next. Role, and this is a very nice filterable field they have here in the upper left. View all roles. So we'll need the role with the read admin here on that one. And that's 4 added so far. The other 3 are going to be underneath the phone. So we will need the view all users phone information, so the phone read admin. We will need the phone call log. There we are. So view all users call log information, so the phone call log read admin. And the last one's for recording. So phone recording, here we go. View all users recording information. So phone recording, read admin, that will be number 7. There's all 7 that we're going to need. I will click on done. And then we can review the scopes. So if we need to see any descriptions for them, if you need to delete them, but these are definitely the 7 that we are going to need. So they add to those, but these will at least be the base 7 that we are going to need. Feel free to go ahead and click continue from here. And now we're at this point where we can add and activate and authorize the private app to communicate with the Zoom API for the Variphy on-site installation or on-prem installation, excuse me. So clicking the blue add button will give me just about to the point where I can go ahead and activate this guy. So on the very bottom here, we can see you are at the top, you are about to add my OAuth app for Variphy, which we do want to do. It is registered to myself, and we will go ahead and allow. Now, I should get a redirection page here on this next page. It should go over to a Variphy page. Here we are. So congratulations, you've successfully authorized this Variphy app to integrate with your organization's Zoom account to enhance your call analytics capabilities. We can certainly read this as we read this down if we need to, but I don't necessarily think we need to. Certainly, if you have a Variphy system up and running, there are some additional steps to modify that we're going to take a look at in a moment. Or if you didn't, certainly you can reach out to us and set up a trial system. But this main page is main focus for me, at least, or the configurable part of the house is going to be the OAuth authorization code. So this is code 3 that I need to copy for configuring this Zoom account in the Variphy API in a moment in my lab. So I'm just going to toss this over here to be used in a moment. Below this, there's some other information and knowledge-based articles kind of giving you a nudge in the right direction on how to interface the Variphy application to create the Zoom account and load up all these IDs and stuff. The step-by-steps, there's a knowledge-based article right here for it. But also out in the field, if there is an evaluation of this front for Zoom phones within Variphy and it needs to be deactivated for whatever reason, some of these steps are down here below. So feel free to read these at your leisure. Okay, so now I've done everything that I need to do in the Zoom app marketplace, and I just so happen to have a lab right here waiting next door, an on-prem lab. Now, a couple of the prereqs that are definitely need to be satisfied first are going to be the version of Variphy. So at least needs to be the version 14.0 beta or greater, which has the support for the Zoom phone analytics, as well as we will need a license key that has the Zoom phone features enabled within it. So if you do not have one, which definitely you do, reach out to your Variphy account rep or to support. We'll make sure that you go ahead and get one. I have my lab already loaded up, so let's just go ahead and log in. Now, in this lab here, I have some other call manager stuff already built, but that's certainly not the focus for today's demonstration. But the default landing spot will dump me into the analytics for the call manager side of the house. So I don't need to worry about that at the moment. We're going to go slide all the way to the upper right here into the settings gear. Now, previously, before version 14, this section right here was labeled as clusters. Now, since Variphy is now supporting web-based platforms, we're now going to replace this with the word platforms, because we're supporting other things outside of Cisco now. So, and as I'm licensed for, and we can see here now I have a Zoom account option underneath the platform header, I'm going to drill right into that. And the next configuration page should be pretty barren. Come on, lab. Here we go. Okay, so no Zoom accounts defined for this selected enterprise at this time. So let's go ahead and add a new. We'll go ahead and I'll just give this a cosmetic name within Variphy. I'll just call this Matt Zoom account. Should work for now. I'm going to turn off and disable the use Variphy official Zoom OAuth app toggle at this time because we just created a private app within the marketplace. So no need to use that toggle. We will have our official app on their marketplace very, very shortly. Now, here's where I need my 3 key pieces that I took off of the marketplace earlier and from our redirection page. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Apologies, you can't see my other screen, but that's kind of by design. So I'm putting in the client ID and the client secret that I captured from earlier, and on the redirection Variphy page, the OAuth authorization code token. Put those 3 pieces in, go ahead and click the save button in the bottom right here. And if all stars are in line, I should have an active account number. There we go. I'll just zoom in for your eyes here. So we should have an active account number here. I labeled as Matt Zoom account. Again, you could certainly edit this and modify it after the fact if you need to. We can run an account check off of the Zoom API in a moment if we need to, but I'm not going to do that just yet, just because all we've really done is just solidify the connection with this on-prem instance of Variphy with this Zoom API that I'm connected to here in our environment. But what we'll definitely need to do is to slide next door to the CDR processing, because we definitely need to create a database so that we can write all of the Zoom phone content into. Now, this is all standard by default. The status option by default at this point is going to be disabled, so don't fear. We just need to go ahead and edit the processing for this Zoom account within Variphy to enable processing. Now, up top here, by default, we're going to see the process calls every 5 minutes. It's pretty standard. We can certainly curtail this down to every 2 minutes. And what it's going to be doing is now the Zoom API isn't reaching out to us. Variphy is reaching out to the API and extracting data out of it every 2 minutes or every few minutes. But even during these processing or / collection routines that we're performing, we're also performing a multi-hour sweep of the Zoom API just to make sure that we haven't missed any of the data records for the previous few hours if there may have been some longer than expected extended calls, maybe a call that lasted 2-3 hours, for instance, and we didn't pick it up. Because similar to Call Manager, I will make mention that the Zoom API's call records are not available live. They're available once the calls are terminated. So similar to actually the Cisco as well, where the calls have to be finished and completed, aka terminated, before the phone system will render those records attainable. And this facet here with the Zoom phone analytics is going to be us communicating with the API and once again every couple minutes, but performing a multi-hour sweep just to make sure we haven't missed anything. Well, very long-winded, excuse me for that, but essentially what we'll need to do here is turn on this toggle to enable the database processing. So we will be able to point at the local primary database, which in my lab here is local. Some of your environments out in the field may be external on a MS SQL server. By all means, this will point to the primary database configuration that we have within the UI for your database structures. And all we'll need to do here is then just give this a simple database name to create in that database engine. I'm just going to call mine Zoom_DB for this demonstration example. And should be able to click Save and Continue, but I do want to make a quick little mention of the data retention. So as always, we on our databases, we have retention settings or purge schedules, if you will, out of the box. The keep forever flag is always turned on, but we can certainly specify, a few months or a few years if need be. And if we're talking about a few years, certainly we can talk about the database archiving down the line. So at this time, I'm not going to rock the boat on any of that. I'm just going to click to Save and Continue. And this should go ahead and create the shell database in a moment here for me. So I'm going to click Create Database. It will create a Zoom_database in the MySQL/Maria database engine that is local to my lab system here. And we'll go ahead and click Create. Now, at the same time, while I'm creating this database, the application is going out to the Zoom API to perform a live sync. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is a sync, Matt? Well, I'm so glad you asked that. What a sync is it's metadata, really. So it's metadata out of the Zoom API so that we can polish the reporting more in a more value deliverable facet, let's say. So we're going to be able to, instead of just phone numbers and all of that we're going to read from the Zoom API for all these phone calls, we're also going to be able to leverage the API to find out phone user names, department names, site names, called queues, device types, and there's a handful of others as well. So in other words, this is for our benefit and your benefit as well, so that we don't need to actually worry about housing any type of third-party database for directories or user listings and stuff like that. We're going to take it right from the source or the API's mouth. And we will be running this normally on a daily routine. Certainly can be done more frequently if need be. But let's go ahead and just activate this for now. And it will specify, once complete and enabled, I'll have the option to go ahead and solidify a sync schedule. So this shouldn't take too long here. So we should see, there we go, some green. All right, green is good. Account sync completed and database CDR processing was successfully activated. And we see the current status is enabled and no longer disabled. Click on the blue Finish and Schedule Sync. We should get a little pop out here to go ahead and create this quote unquote metadata sync. So by default, doing Monday through Friday. If I want to blanket 7 days a week and at midnight to go ahead and communicate with the API to get a fresh sync from the Zoom API, this is how we would leverage that.
Net sync is a little bit different than CDR. That's not a data sync. That's just pulling back kind of user information, things like that.
Correct, Victor. Yes.
Perfect.
And let's see. Now my status for some odd reason is disabled. Let's see why that is. Odd. Well, you can tell this is live. I don't need to perform a live sync. We just ran that one a couple of seconds ago. Make sure that okay, very well. Go ahead and close that. Status enabled. Okay. All right. And we've even got a couple records probably for today so far. Okay. I wasn't banking on that, but definitely there's something that can be done after we initially sync with a Zoom API with this OAuth private app that we have just created in the marketplace. Within the Variphy instance that you see here towards the far right, there is an icon over here. It looks like a cloud with a down arrow. If you hover over it, it'll state initiate manual CDR data collection. In other words, what this will do, this will make our the Variphy application go ahead and fetch phone calls from the Zoom API immediately right now. Since I don't have production data, I'll just point back to say, I don't know, February 2nd through right now. But knowing there's not a lot of calls in here, now in a production environment, this may take a little bit of time because it probably will have to pull back thousands of records or so. But in this lab example, it should only be a handful. There we go. Successfully retrieved call logs from this date range and processed 10 new records. Fantastic. Let's cancel that. And I should be able to refresh this guy, and this should update for me in front of our eyes. All right, there we go. We can see Feb 6 through today, March 1. And also we can slide next door and just kind of make reference again to that sync that I made mention. So once again, kind of user entities or organizational information that we can marry with the call traffic to provide a more polished reporting experience. Again, then this is I set it to schedule for daily. But we just ran the last routine here at 18 past the hour, so a couple of minutes ago, and we can see when the next schedule is up for. And the sync is required. If we needed to run one now, if there was some stale data in the sync, certainly we have the play button over here. We can initiate a sync right now to the Zoom API, but we don't need to. So at this moment, I have created an OAuth marketplace private app for the Variphy on-prem installation to tap into this API. If I need to, I can certainly slide back to the manage option and run a check. But at this point, I'm going to maybe just kind of show some of those granular call details, just real briefly on the sample 10 calls that we have here. Just running a quick cluster check that probably everyone's probably familiar with these days. But I should be able to do so just identifying the data review, if you will, for those Zoom calls that we were just looking at. Now, my lab is going to default to a call manager, but have no fear. I'm just going to hit the toggle gear here and change my platform. Platforms now, not clusters, but we can see the Matt Zoom account down here with the Zoom in parens. Go ahead and go to that. So this should look very normal to what the analytics module has looked for everyone for quite some time. The 4 options there on the top bar for history, reports, scheduling, the schedule automations, and the configurables. But I'm just going to just tinker around in the history section here for today. We know that we have data going from Feb 6. Yeah, so from Feb 6 to today, and we know that the sync is good from a couple minutes ago. So I can certainly push out my time window here instead of current day. Let's look at, how about current and previous month? Obviously, as you all probably know, we have quite a few time unit options for relativity for the historical pieces. So I'm going to use this default field here in the history section underneath analytics of caller number. Of course, we always have plenty of fields to search on. So there's going to be originating and terminating parties that you can leverage for filters, as well as combinations therein, and then some other options as well. So some signaling, some directions, some result options. So there's definitely some filterable capabilities there. Just using this one offered here by default, I'm just going to change the conditional operator, something I do very, very frequently, is just kind of blanket all data from a database's time frame to ascertain the data elements I want to review here real briefly. So caller number starts with a single character wildcard. So in other words, I'm asking the database engine where this field starts with 1 character or better to bring it back in the results for me. So it should be darn near everything. I'm blanketing current and previous month, so that'll cover Feb 1 through today being March 1. I should be able to very easily see the 10 or 11 calls that we had seen previously. So here we are listing out these detailed results here for this Zoom API that I'm connected to. Now, not a production environment, but again, we're able to see caller and callee style of detail metrics here. The callee will be labeled, the callee signification will be labeled as called. So we'll be caller and called. We have party names, device types to go with all of those. So we can read, once again, the end user names from the Zoom API per that sync that I made mention, but also able to read and interpret their device types, their site locations, called queues, a lot of that good fun stuff. But as always, we have columns that we can, additional columns you can always add in here. We always have plenty of columns and options. I've listed out about 10 or so here, but as you can see here, the listing on the left, I have additional originating and terminating fields that I can certainly throw into these results section in the background. So if I need to see, once again, caller, location, site, department, codex, groups, etc., or even on the terminating side, the call queues, certainly we can render those as well. Just need to add them and double click them and move them from left to right. And as always, we can export results right from here. So I'm going to save this for next week's content, but definitely from the history section, we can certainly easily spawn reports right from here on the ad hoc routine, and even save them for future use in the report bucket. So that's about all I'm going to showcase for now. And now next week, we will be getting into the Zoom reportings as well as kind of the dashboarding dashboard options that will be at your disposal as well. So if we need to go ahead and build out a nice pretty Zoom board that looks something like this, or it's just strictly Zoom, or maybe a multi-platform board where we're showcasing not only just Zoom phone call analytics, but also Call Manager, UCCX, and maybe even Cube iOS reportables. So just a little tip of the iceberg here for a little sneak peek for next week. So thank you all for your time. Victor, might we have any questions from the audience members today?
Awesome job, Matt. Awesome job as always. Let's go ahead, and if you guys have any questions, please use the Q&A panel on the left-hand side of your screen. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. As always, we do these every Wednesdays. Please make sure you join us next week as Matt digs a little bit deeper into reports and dashboards. So no questions so far. So let's go ahead and jump right to the winner of this week's webinar, and the winner is Felicia Walker. Felicia, congratulations. We'll make sure that your account manager reaches out to you with your $50 Amazon gift card. Thank you for joining us. And last but not least, Matt did mention, please make sure to join us for our upcoming webinar where Matt is going to go ahead and dive into some dashboards and reporting options available in Zoom. That is going to be next Wednesday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And again, last going once, going twice. Don't see any questions, Matt. So again, awesome job, buddy. And thank you all for joining us today.
Take care, all.